All right, thanks for joining us today. Today we are going to be looking at a simple way to carve a turkey. Maybe that's for Thanksgiving, maybe it's for just any other time. Chickens, turkeys are going to work pretty much the same. So let's get started. All right, for my carving project today, I'm going to be using a chef's knife. There's some different ways to do this. A lot of people like to use a boning knife or even a fillet knife because it's not as thick as a chef's knife, and a thinner knife just lets you follow the contour of the bones a little better. And then when you go to slice, a lot of people prefer to use a carving knife, which is a lot longer. And the reason for that is when you're slicing up, the longer your blade, you can make one long stroke and cut all the way through it and not have to go back and forth. And that's just going to give it a nice cleaner cut and a better presentation. We're just going to go with a good all-around chef's knife. It's fairly long and should be plenty for me slicing, and it's going to give me good enough control to get around and get the meat off of the bone. So if you don't have any good knives, a chef's knife is a great first knife to add to your kitchen. This is what we're going to be using. The first thing I'm going to do, a lot of times your turkey is going to be tied or bound up in some way. This is not twine. This one came with actually like a plastic clip. And the first thing we want to do is get that off and out of the way. So I'm just going to pull this out real fast. Okay, so the way we're going to do this is in 3 simple stages. First, we're going to take off the leg and thigh, and then we'll cut that up and get it on the serving platter. Then we're going to do the breast, and then the last thing will be the wings. And the reason for that, it's sitting in our roasting pan still for now. If you're going to take it out and set it on a big cutting board, the wings are just going to kind of help it set steady instead of rocking and rolling all over the place. So we're going to save those for last. So I'm going to have the camera zoom in and show you what I'm looking for when I cut the legs and the thighs off. So the first cut that we're going to make is going to be right here between the big drumstick and the breast, and we're just going to break the skin, and you'll notice, look, it's already separated. There's a big piece there that just kind of comes apart. I'm going to pry that loose and just slowly cut away, looking for the joint. And sometimes, since it's sitting down in a curved pan here, I'm going to reach underneath it and just push up and apply some pressure. What we're looking for though is not to saw through bone. We're looking for the joint between where the hip attaches. Okay, can you see that bone right there? Okay, there, I think I have it separated enough. You can see the 2 pieces. We're going right in between. And sometimes you don't even have to make that cut. You'll hear it pop loose. So once that bone is separated, we're just going to cut back and remove the drumstick and the thigh together. And once we have that separated, from this side it's going to be harder to see, but we're going to do the same thing, cutting right down in between the drumstick and the thigh. And once you find that same, there it is, I can get it to. Okay, that's going to come right in too. Now we've got our drumstick. Let me get the skin. And this is going to go ahead and go straight to our serving platter. We like serving the drumsticks whole. For the thigh, we're going to go ahead and get the bone out. You can see one end here and the other end back here. Rather than thinking of it like cutting the meat off of the bone, think of it like we're removing the bone. And so all we're going to do is come in and follow the edge of the bone and just score the meat away. And as we work our way around the bone, sometimes it's going to come in 2. Sometimes you can keep it all together, but it doesn't matter. We're just going to get the bone out. And this, spend as much time as you want picking the dark meat off of this. If you want it all, you can take time to do it. If not, it goes back in here for the stock that we're gonna make later. Now, we're just gonna take these good pieces of dark meat. You can see how the grain is running this direction. Okay, if I look on the other side, peel the skin back, you can see which direction the grain is running. We're gonna cut against the grain, and we're just gonna make slices. Okay, and we want to leave that skin on there because that's some of the best part. Now, I'm going to take and just move that dark meat down to one edge of our serving platter. Now we're going to do the same thing with the leg on the other side. Cut and follow right down the edge here, looking for that joint. Okay, that time I just popped it right out. Come along and cut in between. Okay, and we'll do the same thing. We've got the drumstick, we've got the thigh. Turn it over here. And we're just following right down the shape of that drumstick, looking for that bone. It really does pop loose quite easily once you kind of know where it is. So now we're going to take and get this other bone out. And the same as before. You pick it as clean as you want to pick it. One of our favorite things to do after a Thanksgiving meal like this is use the leftover turkey and make gumbo. And so this will make a great stock for that, and there will be plenty of meat to go in that. So I don't try to get every single piece. Same thing, look for the grain. We're going to slice against it. And we're going to add this over here to the dark meat side of our serving tray. Now that's going to give people the option of easily finding if they prefer light meat or dark meat. Now, we're still not going to do the wings yet. The next thing I'm going to do is take the breast. Some people will go in and just go ahead and remove the wishbone. I'm not going to do that. It's not that hard to cut around. What you're going to do is right here in the center, there's going to be a bone. If you break the skin and just start cutting down in there, you'll be able to feel that you're on either one side or the other. And then what happens as we start going through this is we're going to get the rib cage, which is going to be curved down this direction. So we're going to have to use the knife and follow that curvature. And this is where a thinner knife can be advantageous, but this one is actually doing just fine. And so I'm just making little slices, following it down that rib cage. And then you'll have one nice big breast piece come loose. So just like the other, you can see the grain running long ways down the breast, and so we're going to turn it long ways and cut it across the grain. So again, I'm going to take and slice. We're going to try to leave pieces of that skin on each slice so everybody gets some of the skin and flavor. Now, cut these as thick or as thin as you like. I like having thicker cut pieces. If you cut it thinner, then it will start drying out a little faster. Cutting it thicker will help preserve some of that moisture, but that depends on how much time between cutting and serving, if that's an issue for you or not. All right, so there's one breast. I'm going to take and just lay that across our serving tray, and then I'm going to come back. You can see where that bone is, where we started, right here at the edge. There's more. I could go and I can trim some more of this out. I didn't quite follow the rib cage as close as I thought I did. And that's fine. You just take those pieces and add them, but we're going to go down the other side here. And there we have the other piece of that breast, that white meat. So same thing, we're going to slice it across the grain. I recommend doing this in the kitchen before taking your turkey out onto the table. If you want the Clark Griswold Christmas reveal, where everybody sits down and the big turkey is sitting there, then that's fine. You can do that, and then you can go through this process right in front of everybody. I prefer to just have this done and plated. Be sure to take a picture of your turkey before you start cutting so that you can put that on Instagram. But we're going to go and just cut a little more of this to add to our plate. Because if you remember, once Clark cut into his turkey, didn't turn out that well for him. Okay, the very last piece is going to be these wings, and I'm just going to go ahead and move this over to my cutting board now. So similar to the drumsticks, the wings are going to have a joint, and you can see if I start pulling out, here's the bone that runs through, here's where the joint is. I can take and just pop it loose, or we can go through and we can find it with our knife. Remember, we're not trying to cut through bone. We're simply severing the connection between those. There it is. All right, now depending on your own preference, some people serve the wings because we're looking forward to some stock and some gumbo. I'm actually not going to serve the wing portion, but we will pop this loose. And again, that came apart really easily. And I'm going to put that back, but we've got the other half. I mangled that one a little bit. But the smaller drumstick, the base of the wing, and we will go ahead and add that to our serving tray. And then we come back to the other side. Same thing, simple cut. We're looking for that joint. Okay, and there you can see the top of that bone. And so we're just going to go through and separate those pieces. And as before, let me get this back out of the way. If I come down and cut that, maybe I won't do it as bad this time. Okay, we're just going to cut right in between those. There's some more for the stock, and there's some more good meat on a bone. We won't try to debone those. We're just going to add that to the top. Got to wash and clean up, but this plate is now ready to go to the table. The whole thing really just takes a couple of minutes. Like I said, you can spend more time on the carcass, but we've got plans for what's left over there, and that's my favorite part, is the leftovers, because I love gumbo. So thanks for watching. Be sure and check out our other video where my wife and my daughters prepare a full Thanksgiving meal from beginning to end with all of the timing in place so that it's as least stressful as possible to get everything on the table. I hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching.